Now, I would like to invite Senator Mushahid Hussain Syed Saab to come forward and share his views regarding the event today. He's the chairman of Pakistan-China Institute as well. Kindly welcome him. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Ji. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, in the name of the Almighty, the Lord of all mankind. Good morning and Assalamu Alaikum. I'm very grateful to Ambassador Azaz Chaudhry Sahab and his talented colleagues and team, Nagmana Hashmi Saiba and Admiral Sham Saab, who's also wearing many hats because he was also former ambassador to Saudi Arabia, for taking this very timely initiative on an issue on which I would say Pakistan can really benefit for its economy, for its people, for the employment of its youth, for its image, for its interests, located in one of the most interesting and strategic parts of the world. I speak to you not just as a guest speaker, but also as a frequent traveler. My last visit was 2 weeks ago to Turkey, where I was invited by President Erdogan to give a keynote on Palestine. And then from there, I went to Morocco, and I wanted to visit the hometown of Ibn Battuta, Tangier, which I did because Ibn Battuta was the world's, I think, the first global tourist. He traveled 75,000 miles. In 29 years, 40 countries, spanning 3 continents, Europe, Asia, and Africa. And he went further east till China and parts of Malaysia. I'm also very grateful that the ambassador of Portugal is here, Excellency Silva, because it was Vasco da Gama who discovered our part of the world for the civilized world at that time. And the Portuguese have been very dynamic in terms of discovery, in terms of adventure, in terms of reaching out. And I think, and secondly, also our good friend, High Commissioner Muhammad Azhar Mazlan from Malaysia, because his boss, Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim, is an old and dear friend of mine, and I had the honor of meeting him, thanks to him when he was here. Ladies and gentlemen, let me first give you the big picture about tourism. We are talking of an economy that generates $1.8 trillion. $1.8 trillion in 2023. With 500 million consumers, meaning tourists, 100 million people employed in tourism directly. And the total, of course, part of GDP is about $3.4 trillion. Almost, I think, some percentage of the global GDP. So it is the world's biggest industry, tourism. And where are we located? Where we are located, you can see among the top 10 tourism earners, 2 are fairly close to Pakistan, UAE and Turkey, $50 billion plus each. They have that. And for us in Pakistan also, we have had some good news for tourism after a long time this year. The government has had visa on arrival policies for most countries in the world. Because the biggest problem, in my view, is not security. The biggest problem is our bunker mentality in Pakistan, where we have closed off our country. Visas are difficult. Everything becomes a security issue. No-go areas. This country cannot come. That country cannot. You cannot do that. That bunker mentality. Even now, frankly, in foreign policy, I'm one of the critics because we have problems with most of our neighbors, at least. And out of 4 neighbors, with 3, we have had military clashes in the last 5 years. So this kind of attitude cannot work out. This is a globalized world. Pakistan is a global leader, a regional leader, and we have to open up. So that mindset has to change. And Rana Sahab, you are here of policy. When I was studying in Georgetown in Washington, D.C., I went to Hollywood. And I asked, who is the highest paid person? They said, he's the idea man or idea woman. I said, I want to meet him. Where's his office? He said, doesn't have an office. He gives an idea and the movie is a big success. So I'll give you some ideas before I finish my speech, free of charge. And you can put it in your policy. And in that regard, in Pakistan's good news, number 1, the visa on arrival has been a very good initiative that most countries can now enter. No clearance of ISI or IB or IB, that all NOC business, they say is gone. So that's slashing through the red tape, number 1. Number two, we have had, after 27 years, a very important international gathering, which was a peaceful and successful one, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. So that has showcased Pakistan as an important thing. And today, it's 5th of November, 1 week from today, you will have the largest congregation of the Sikh diaspora in the world in Pakistan, in Nankana Sahib and Panja Sahib and Kartarpur. 30,000 visas are being issued to the Sikh diaspora in India, Sikhs in India, and the diaspora in North America and Europe. So that's a huge, it's the birthday of Guru Nanak Ji, and that will be commemorated, and they are opened up. So that is going to be very, very important. And ladies and gentlemen, where is Pakistan located? We are located at a place which is at the epicenter of tourism. China, Central Asia, especially Uzbekistan. And if you see CNN now, there are ads on Uzbekistan, like they were Malaysia, truly Asia. Now, Uzbekistan is one of the very popular destinations. To some extent also Kazakhstan, but Uzbekistan is number one in Central Asia. So Pakistan is just 2 hours away from Tashkent. And then South Asia. India. Where's my friend from Sri Lanka? Dr. Ayantha is here. Yes. Your Excellency, welcome from Sri Lanka, because I had my honeymoon in Sri Lanka. And I have a special relationship with Sri Lanka, and I go there often. And you still have those women selling kajus from Colombo to Kandy, big ones, huh? And very high quality. And you have one place which is an island, which is also has mountains and hills, and also where the movie The Bridge on the River Kwai was shot. So, and Sri Lanka has some of the finest people and the finest service industry in South Asia that I've seen. Better than India, better than Nepal is there, Maldives is there. So we are at the epicenter of that. And so I think that this is a good opportunity for Pakistan to how to take this forward. My plan would be, Rana Sahab, I call it 313. 3 corridors, 1 authority, 3 initiatives. What are the 3? Let's focus on that. And I would like to remind the audience here that I have been also, once upon a time, Minister for Information, Culture and Tourism. And it was that time that we laid the basis of a lot of the initiatives. And from 97 to 1999. We were elected chairman of the South Asia countries for the World Tourism Organization. I became the chairman. I fought the election. India supported me also, along with other South Asian countries. And the World Tourism Organization is based in Madrid. And we had ensured that we will have Visit Pakistan year in 2001. That was 98, I got it. But of course, we were overtaken by events. Then we developed the first master plan for tourism with the help of the UNDP. Then I asked the Austrian government for help in building a ski resort, and Malam Jabba was built with Austrian help. And then we held 3 major tourism conferences, Walji Sahab, aap to idhar hain, and we had it in Islamabad, in Lahore, and Karachi. So the things were set rolling, but then we were overtaken by other events, and then thankfully that period has now come to an end, the post 9/11 phase. So the 3 corridors, I would say, is low-hanging fruit, because already Azaz Sahab has talked about domestic tourism, and domestic tourism has got a big fillip now. And it's that is the base for the other tourism we are going to develop, inshallah, in the next 5 years. The number 1 is spiritual tourism, which I launched for the first time in 97. We had monks from Thailand, Sri Lanka, South Korea, and Japan visiting Pakistan, Taxila, because Taxila is the first Buddhist university in the world, 2,700 years old. And we have some of the holiest sites for Buddhism in Pakistan. Then we also revived Katas Raj, which is also one of the holiest sites for Hinduism in Pakistan, close to Kala Kahar. And then, of course, Sikhism, we have Nankana Sahib and Panja Sahib, we already have. So I called it spiritual tourism, whether it's religious tourism, but basically, these are holy sites where they should be open to visitors. And we had the first exhibition of Gandhara in South Korea, Seoul, where we developed the CDs in the Korean language, and I sent the curator of the Peshawar Museum there to have it for 3 months, which was a fantastic success. So spiritual tourism is one area where I think we can start off with, and I'm glad the initiatives are already underway with Sikhism. Secondly is 2 neighboring huge countries. One India, one China. In China, we border Xinjiang. And Xinjiang is now one of the most popular tourism destinations in China because of its rich fusion of Central Asian, Islamic, Buddhist, Han cultures. 265 million Chinese and foreigners, Chinese from the mainland, visited Xinjiang in 2023. 42 billion dollars. Xinjiang province alone, with 25,000 tour guides, which they have, because it's a very beautiful part. And I've traveled there extensively by road and by air also. I would say, open up Gilgit-Baltistan, visa on arrival, just cross over the border, and you will have, even if there's a small sprinkling of those tourists, you will be flooded with, excuse me, tourism from China. And that will change the economy of our north, which is some of the most beautiful sites in the world. The other one is India. Whenever I go to India, and which I do frequently, and I was the one who started the first Pakistan-India track 2 as a journalist. We invited Indian journalists to write. I was editor of the Muslim then as a journalist. And I used to write for the Indian newspapers also, including Times of India, Hindustan Times, and the Telegraph. And I think it's important that with neighbors, the channels of communication should never be cut off, despite any differences. So I would feel there were 2 instances in the history of Pakistan when our borders in the east and the west were opened up, without visas. In 1988, when Bacha Khan died, the border between Afghanistan and Pakistan was opened up, and people went for his funeral in Jalalabad. I was one of them. I was a journalist then. Nothing happened. People went back and forth, no visa. 2004, we opened up Wagah for the Indian tourists. No visa to see the cricket match. Thousands came to Pakistan, to Lahore, crossed over. Nothing happened, no terrorism. Cricket fans, and it gave a boost to the economy, and there was a lot of the people, shopkeepers gave them free things and so forth. So I think this is extremely important. In the region, we can develop a strong tourism potential because there's a hunger in India, especially in North India and Delhi and other places, to visit Pakistan, to visit Lahore, to visit parts of Islamabad and this area. And I think that has to be, our mindset of trying to regulate borders in a way that we have a bunker mindset, a bunker mentality, that fear has to go. So these 3 corridors, spiritual tourism, Rana Sahab, China through Xinjiang, and India through the Wagah border. Open up. No clearances of ISI or MI or IB. These are tourists. If the spies come in, they already know what's happening in Pakistan. Ours is a very open society. We don't hide anything. We speak, we write everything. So that's number 1. So that's the first 3. Then there has to be a tourism authority. PTDC have a jaan nahi hai usme. You have to inject that vigor and vitality, that, as Americans say, that zing in it. And now I think with today's election of President Trump, inshallah, the tourism potential in the world will be better because he'll bring more peace to the world than Biden and Kamala could, because they were part of the genocide in Palestine, the war in Ukraine, and so many things. I think we'll have a better, calmer world under President Trump, inshallah. So I think that will be also conducive for us. So one central tourism authority, and I would also nominate the former Foreign Secretary Azaz Chaudhry Sahab as one of the key members, because you have that passion for tourism also. So it's not just the tourist guys or Mr. Walji or others, but those who know how to do that. And one other person I'd recommend is that whom I had made the chairman of the task force on cultural heritage when I was tourism minister, was the culture czar of Pakistan, Mr. Hamid Haroon, based in Karachi. He has the finest collection of private museum in South Asia, by the way, in terms of mementos, art, literature, artifacts from this region. So and he speaks Chinese also, by the way. He studied it in Harvard. So we developed this good team. So 3, 1, and the other 3 is 3 initiatives. We have to have a special tourism police for that. number one. Number two, tourism guides. I said 25,000 tourism guides in Xinjiang alone, one province of China. And number three, now we have opened up our policies for open skies. Let the airlines develop. At least 2 budget airlines have to be developed for tourism. Because unless you have connectivity, if foreigners come, they have to go to Gilgit, they have to go to Hunza. How do they go? They have to go to Peshawar. There's no flight to Peshawar. There's no enough flight today even to Lahore. So, direct flights have to be there. Delhi-Lahore should be resumed. Nothing wrong with that. Other flights should be, and also from Urumqi and Kashgar to Skardu, it should be open. And there'll be a lot of Chinese coming in, and you will see these budget airlines with cheap tickets, economy class tickets. It will give a big boost to Pakistanis. We have 120 million people in the middle class in Pakistan. They don't pay taxes because they don't trust the government, but they're willing to spend their money on tourism. Because now the Portuguese don't give visas, Schengen visas anymore to Pakistanis. So they are stuck. Either they go to Thailand or to Istanbul. But Mr. Silva, open up your system. So it's very important. So this is my formula, 3-1-3. 3 corridors, 1 authority. Ran Sahab, you remain chairman of the authority, but not PTDC. Because when I was in the tourism reserve, PTDC had 25 or 30 motels. Unfortunately, they were sold for a song later on. I don't know who made the money, not you, but somebody else must have. Cecil Hotel was one of them, one of the best ones. So this, and the third is these 3 initiatives. Train the tourist guides. They should learn the Chinese language, the Japanese language, other languages also, which are relevant for us. And let me tell you one or two other anecdotes. I called in, when I was the information minister, Prince Abdullah of UAE. Now, he was information minister, then my counterpart, now he's foreign minister of UAE. And he says that, Excellency, we need a hill resort. Because we are looking for a hill resort for our people. I said Naran is available, parts beyond Murray. And he said we are willing to invest it, have an international airport. But then 9/11 took place, and now most of them go to Malaysia, by the way, because Malaysia has all kinds of topography like Pakistan. So, this is the possibility. Other thing which was mentioned, 2 points by Ambassador Azaz, I'd like to comment on that. One was cleanliness. I went to China in 1984 as a young journalist. And I said, why don't you open up? This is a beautiful country. He said, we can't, Excellency, because we don't have clean toilets. And we have developed a plan for clean toilets, which will take 5-6 years. So after 1990s, they opened up because they didn't have the clean toilets. And they said they could not open up because of that reason. And secondly, you mentioned Mohenjo-daro. The other day, I was talking to, 2 days ago, there was a dinner by Mr. Bolani for the outgoing Japanese ambassador, and Ambassador Donald Bloom of the US was sitting next to me. And I was asking, he went on a visit to Mohenjo-daro. And he was very disappointed. He said, there's no tourist guide. There's no place for rest or recreation or just, even using the toilets. And then he says, these are just some bricks there and nobody to explain, as you said, what is the history of Mohenjo-daro? So I think that unless our tourism areas which we want to sell, which we want to project, which we want to promote, they have that infrastructure in terms of professional tourist guides, information centers, and also upkeep. Because you're looking at ruins only, and that's not good enough. So I think that we can learn from these experiences in our region. And for tourism training, we had established an institute in Karachi, Python, the Pakistan Institute for Tourism Hotel Management, but I think it's not functional anymore. That needs to be revived. And I feel that, Azaz Chaudhry Sahab, your think tank can take the lead in that. And by the way, I just formed a new think tank called Pakistan Africa Institute for Development and Research, PAIDAR. And African ambassadors have been coming to me that they have. Somali, they came to me, they said, for medical tourism, we have to go to India because we don't get visas here for Pakistan. And there are thousands of them. So, there are opportunities even from different parts. South Africa, some of the Muslim countries came. They are very keen to come here. They are well off and everything. So, the opportunity is there. The environment is more conducive. And I think, as the Latin saying goes, carpe diem, seize the moment. Thank you so much.